So it won't cost us money. We're going to spend $375,000 on the other resolution. It's going to cost us money too.
When you say us, the answer is
TriMet.
the second resolution would add $100,000 to the contract value, bringing the total to $475,000. But again, all the money associated with this is raised by other governments, and we're the bank, so there's no TriMet dollars going to this effort.
So we don't carry any liability when they come out, when anybody comes out.
We make sure we're even. I should say better, make sure.
But you know, the gentleman that was at Steve, his question on, and maybe I shouldn't even bring it up until I talked to Lennon Peterson, but was he indicating Clackamas County is now moving in a different direction?
No.
Because this involves Clackamas County also.
Yes, but
streetcar.
the money dedicated from Clackamas County for this purpose is not from the same source that he was talking about, so it's totally separate. And this is actually from a separate grant that Clackamas County received.
And I don't mean to tie the two together, but I have to. It makes me apprehensive when I hear statements as to, would the county be moving differently than...
Well, my suggestion on that would be that we asked Representative County, perhaps Chair Peterson, to actually come and talk to you yourself. I think you'd be comforted by what she would tell you.
Yeah, well, just state this date, and then now we get down with the streetcar, and there's a controversy on the Milwaukee light rail also. It kind of runs together whether we like it or not, and we're involved in it, because we're acting as the banker or whatever for the streetcar, and it's just all the controversy.
I would just note that every one of these projects has detractors and supporters.
Of course.
And we will always see that. And so my admonition is just to keep it all in perspective as you move forward and make data and fact-based judgments as we move along.
And Neil, I appreciate that, but just a statement is we need, TriMet needs the local politicians to be in concert with what's happening, not against it. Be one county goes different. I say we need them to go along with all these projects, not to be in the...
Absolutely, and I'm sure if Lynn were here, Chair Peterson were here, she would tell you that she's solidly supportive. But I think your point is right, and it's to emphasize once again that part of the decision process that this process ends up in does visit each jurisdiction. So every city council along the way will have a chance to vote on this. Every county commission along the way will have a chance to vote on this. Those recommendations will come to you at the end of the day as well, and you'll have a chance to vote on that. But there will be a very full hearing of all the views associated with this before decisions are made. This just gets us to the point where we can make those decisions.
Other questions of the general manager?
Just a comment, Mr. President, is that I'm going to share some of the concerns he's raised. The issues that come is that you hear a statement, but there is not supporting proof or evidence to help clarify that statement. Whether that statement is right or wrong is not my issue now. It's the supporting documentation that does that. For instance, the comment mentioned about Lynn and your question about that. I don't have her comments. I haven't heard them. I haven't read them. And so that's one interpretation. As I hear the evidence, what was presented in testimony, I've got an interpretation which may or may not be right based on finding what the evidence is. So I'm waiting to hear all of that. And I would concur in asking those who have been mentioned if they would come to a meeting or send a written and share those things so we aren't just left with what I heard. Because Channel 2 may tell me that it's going to rain. Channel 6 says it's going to be partly sunny. Channel 8 says we don't know, and Fox messes it up. Look out the window and then you determine what's happening, the true facts. doesn't. And we need that to be able to make a fair decision. And don't be upset when you hear the term detractors and supporters, because in any issue that comes, it comes down to that, and it is not an affront to anyone. It's just reality.
Sure, that doesn't. Good comment. Steve?
So, a question about the specific resolution.
We're back to that.
This is a great conversation, and then a comment that would follow on the last two comments by board members. Neil, so if I understand on the second resolution related to Shields Oblast, that this work, which would have been anticipated as a customary practice for this project, was going to be performed by staff.
Would normally have been, but I would say that at the outset of this effort, we realized we did not have the person power to manage it, which is why we went for that.
So would we, and while we're not financially responsible for this project, would we have been compensated for that staff time?
Yes.
Okay. So the reason I'm asking is that while there's additional requirements on the first resolution because of the unanticipated consequences, these related to the second resolution would really, as you know, would have been known well in advance and would have come at some expense. So while this is an outside contract with Shields Oblast, the overall project would have presumably reimbursed TriMet somewhere around $100,000 in staff time. Is that true? Or something?
Or cost, yeah.
The reason I'm asking that is I don't want us to get into or participate in cost creep. Not creepy people, but creeping costs. And so I don't want the public to think that we didn't anticipate what we should have done at the expense of that in this resolution. We're actually reallocating the services to an outside provider that would have otherwise been done by TriMet and reimbursed to TriMet, right? So the overall project cost doesn't increase by this $100,000.
Exactly.
Okay.
And these are, I may know, every budget for these sorts of efforts are developed with certain levels of contingency, because obviously when you undertake them at the very beginning, there's a lot of unknowns in terms of both timeline and requirements that we need to go through. So
with that, I would support the resolution with the understanding that all of us are going to make sure and ask you to make sure that we don't engage in project creep. To our two board members' comments, this is a swirling time of lack of confidence, and we've talked about that and how do we engage in a leadership role and a communication role. Given that whether it's Portland, Milwaukee, streetcar, potential that we may see light rail go to Vancouver, Washington, that we may participate with cities like Beaverton or Portland and other service provisions, whether they're fixed route, MAX, streetcar, or transit bus. And because urban renewal is one of the limited ways that jurisdictions, counties and municipalities can participate in infrastructure investments, and yet it is being questioned by how it is approved or reauthorized by state legislation. There's this new state law which allows jurisdictions to vote on another jurisdiction's extension of urban renewal. Could we have a short presentation, say 15, 20-minute presentation by participants? We've had the 3-minute comment by Fire District 1 and the sheriff who questioned that. The city of Tualatin went through a process most recently. We are an infrastructure bankrupt state, yet we rely on urban renewal as our partners' participation. I think rather than have a series of comments offered by our last witness, which were interesting, let's provide a contextual discussion of how urban renewal going forward may affect our partners' participation in whether it is bus, streetcar, or light rail. And a comment that I have made to Washington County participants is simply saying no is not enough. They should figure out how to participate in infrastructure investments that are appropriate. Now, who deems what is appropriate? That's where editorial writers, weathermen, or board members vote, or the public if it casts its ballots. But I think we need to be informed. And rather than have anecdotal comments serve as our witness, let's have a panel present information to us, including supporters and opponents.
I suspect we're going to collect you some ideas about who might be on that panel, and we have to talk to you afterwards and sort of guide that. Happy to do that.
And a weatherman.
Yeah. I'm relying on Dr. Bethel for my weather from now on. So, just to reiterate, we are taking these two resolutions, Resolution 100946 and 100947 together for consideration. I'm looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Second. So moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.